Hello, welcome to episode 4 of the Empire Fair podcast, Forest Beyond the Tracks.
It's episode 5.
Is it episode 5?
It's episode 5.
Start again.
Fucking great start.
Can we just use that?
Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Empire Fair podcast, Forest Beyond the Tracks. In this episode, we'll be talking about our second EP, Sparks in the Dark.
We'll get lost in the forest beyond the trees.
Before we go any further, there is an apology I'd like to make. I actually got the question wrong last week about the runtime.
Oh,
I know.
What?
I know.
What?
Basically, I counted the single files and added them together to give a total of the runtime, and I must have the different WAV files to what is up on Spotify. So, Darren, you are last week's winner. You get 2 eggs.
2 eggs? I'll give them back.
Yeah, give them back to the Chinese, will you? So, sorry about that, Matthew. Right, okay then. So, how have we all been? How is everybody since last week? What has changed?
gonna give the chop.
You're going to cut your hair, Neil?
I'm gonna cut it. Yeah, once lockdown's over, gonna give the chop.
Going bold?
Not going bold, no. I can't grow enough facial hair to pull that off.
How long have you been growing that hair, Neil?
2.5 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's like a child.
Starting to look like Sean Connery in The Medicine Man.
What? That's a good reference.
Yeah.
Excellent.
He's sort of Scottish and all, has he got greying hair, but he looks similar.
Other than that, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about our second EP, Sparks in the Dark, which we recorded in 2012, I believe, first week of July. You know, carrying on from last week's episode, Red Light, the first sort of song that came out after that we had written together was, I believe, Can't Get Through. And I felt already it's a big, massive leap in direction from what Red Light was. What was everybody's thoughts and memories on writing that song?
Can't Get Through. It was, like I say, it was a big leap for us. It was when we really started going for that, what we call dark disco, more sort of a disco drum beat to it. There's disco elements to the guitar parts, like using a wah pedal. I think it was our first and, correct me if I'm wrong, only song with a swear word in it.
No,
December.
Yeah.
December.
Mm-hmm.
We made a point, didn't we, of getting one swear word onto our first 2 EPs because we're badass.
Yeah.
Well,
Bournemouth big boys.
We wanted that parental advisory tag.
Yeah.
we mean business.
We might be clean cut, but we know swear words.
Grant was who was formerly with us in Echo, always joked that we were the worst stereotype of a band ever. None of us smoked. We didn't drink that much. We couldn't grow any facial hair.
What I noticed as well, listening back to Red Light and listening to Sparks of Dark, Matt, me and you didn't really use any effects on any of our guitar parts in Red Light, and obviously in Sparks of Dark, I don't think we did. I think it was literally just distortion, a bit of reverb. There's no sort of delays, no echoes, no chorus, no.
No, I mean, very, very subtle in the verses of December, but that was about it, really. Yeah, nothing pronounced.
Yeah, so, and I think, like you're saying, Can't Get Through, I started dabbling into using delays and echoes, and, like you say, you used the wah pedal on that. I think, Neil, you come round mine, and I think I wrote the chorus, and you wrote the verses.
Yeah, me and you wrote the lyrics at your mum's house, didn't we?
Yeah.
I remember you still had all those cans of Australian Solo piled up everywhere while we were writing that. I think we might have had a few.
Oh well, it's
special occasion.
Special occasions only. Yeah, you know what? I've got one in the fridge.
So where did these lyrics come from? What was it about? Do you remember? Like, is there anything that inspired you guys to write about, or what you were writing about?
I think I initially started to write, like, the first verse is help me turn my language into something that is new. I think it was sort of trying to make something new, like musically. That was the aim. We were trying, but I was certainly trying to make a conscious sound change and lyric change to what Red Light was all about.
I'll tell you where a lot of the other lyrics came from, and I don't know if Tom knows this, but at this sort of time we were transitioning. Tom has written a lot more of the lyrics at a later date as the longer we've gone on. But earlier on, I was writing a lot of the lyrics, and I'm not very good at writing lyrics. I just sort of make it up as I go along, and then try and make it fit. So there's certainly nowhere near as much thought goes into the lyrics I write as Tom's. And when we were writing this song and others at the time, I was hopeless. I couldn't come up with anything. And Tom said to me, just write in a notepad literally everything that you're thinking, you're feeling. It doesn't even have to rhyme. It doesn't have to make sense. It's just pouring your thoughts onto the page. And the lyrics from this song came from me like beating myself up and writing on this page, I can't do this. I can't get through this. I don't know what I'm going to write. I don't know what I'm going to say. And basically, that's how this song came about. Jack was writing about how he was going to do it, and I was writing about how I had no idea what was doing, no idea what was going to come of it.
Between the two of us, we bubbled our way through, didn't we?
Our life story.
Yeah.
I think you guys do yourself a bit of disservice, especially you know. I think some of your lyrics, are really good. There's some, real nice poetry in this on Red Light and on, Can't Get Through. And Jack, some of the stuff you come up with, it's never easy writing something or starting to write something. And that stream of consciousness idea where you just write whatever's in your head it's just such a freeing way to write gibberish or just come up with something. It's just supposed to clear your mind and come up with who knows what. It's like, possibilities are endless. So I'd had forgotten that story that you said. I think it's but now once you sort of reminded me, I do remember that. I think we might have been in a lot of time we were writing this was in Champions, they had some rehearsal rooms at the back of the venue, and I think we spent a lot of time in there, those sort of back rooms, writing a lot of the songs from this record in there.
I remember when we recorded this, the intro was very much up for debate. It wasn't a fixed thing. There was a lot of room for movement. And when we recorded, I believe Jay, who we recorded with, he actually came up with some really good ideas. And I think Matt, you on the choruses, you were playing sort of like a tremolo sort of sound on your guitar. I mean, that came through him. That was something we'd never tried. We'd never done live.
Yeah.
And I believe in the intro as well, he got me to sort of hold my guitar into the amp and he feedback it in, and he was twisting the knobs and sounds, and
it was all new for us, wasn't it? Like, this is our second recording experience, but it was so chalk and cheese from our first recording experience. Like, this one was obviously in a proper penthouse studio with a great engineer, and we were free to work long hours and really get the best out of our instruments and our ideas. And so I think we probably learned a hell of a lot in that week that's carried on through kind of the rest of our time together.
Jason had a big part of the like I say, the intro and the overall sound, particularly of Can't Get Through, and those bits that we allowed him to play with the sound and manipulate it and gave him kind of free reign. So that intro is a lot of processed sounds, a lot of processed feedback, and a lot of noise, which obviously is tricky to replicate live. But I really like it as a EP opener. Himself, he said it was brave starting the EP with that, but we did it anyway.
It was up for debate for a long time as well, wasn't it? Like, we knew that we wanted to do the other 3 songs on the EP for sure, but then whether we were going to add a 4th or whether it was just going to be the 3 or what that 4th song was going to be was up for debate for a long time. And there was a couple of Ride On was considered for a while as potentially being the 4th track as well.
Yeah, we went in there. We had 5 days to record, so we were like, we'll do a song a day. And he looked at us and said, no, you're going to have to lose a song because within the time frame that we had to record. And I think, like you say, ultimately we were going to do 5 songs, and I think we Can't Get Through was going to be the opener, and Ride On was going to be the closer. And in the end, Ride On, unfortunately,
Didn't ride on.
it didn't.
Run that road.
Question for Darren. I always thought the drums at the end of the song, we kind of took a, let's say, homage to Coldplay, Every Teardrop is a Waterfall, where there's sort of singing stops and we have this little nice sort of drumming outro to the song. Is that, you agree with that? Okay, idea came from?
I've never heard that song, so
Neither have I.
no, to be honest. I don't know where that came from.
Me, then.
I know where that came from. When we used to do a cover of, is it Block Party who done Flux?
Yeah.
Flux, yeah.
The drums are very similar to that. So when we did Flux, and when we're doing Can't Get Through, I could hear Flux. So I just kind of thought I'd do something very similar to that. With the ending, I'm not sure where that came about. I think it's just something I just heard in my head and thought, I'll just do that. And I never really changed it. It just seemed to fit, really.
It's very reminiscent of the closing track on my Vitriol album. The album's 5 lines, and I think the closing track on there is Under the Wheels, and that finishes with drum beat, which sort of gradually becomes more and more distorted until it gradually fades out. So it reminds me of that, but I can't remember if we actually played that in the studio and used it as a reference point or not, but it's very similar.
I know we definitely used Honest Mistake by the Bravery as one of our reference points for this song as well. I remember that when we were writing it, we were really big in that song. When Jason said, you're brave putting it first, I don't know if it was a nod of respect or if it was more
polite.
Polite calling us idiots, yeah.
Help me turn my language into something that is new. Teach me words and teach me phrases for stuff that I use. Talking on the telephone, tell me what to say. I won't live so incomplete for even one more day.
After Can't Get Through, I guess the next song that came along was One Night in Munich. I remember Tom coming to me, or come to all of us, saying, I've got it. He brought out his keyboard.
It's a Yamaha. It's a Yamaha keyboard that I've had since I was, let's say, approximately 12 years old. And for many, many years, it just gathered dust in the corner of the wardrobe because I didn't pursue a career as a concert pianist. So I decided, why not? Let's break it out. We're all writing new music. We're all trying something new. Let's get it out, have a little play. And for some reason, the story goes that it was a Sunday morning and I was in my underwear on the edge of my bed and I busted the keyboard out and started playing these chords, put them to, it was a techno setting on the keyboard. And with that, with the drum beat and the sort of sounds around this this sort of preset sound on the keyboard, these chord progressions, it just instantly sounded amazing, just instantly sounded good. It was just so exciting. We had this like new sound, sort of like, like a German techno disco sound, and I was just like, right, I need to tell everybody, I need to get everybody together as soon as possible so we can start working on this thing, because it was just an amazing moment.
And that idea that it sounded like a German techno kind of theme, that was the inspiration to start the whole concept of the record. We set at the concept of one night in Munich, obviously, but it was a night out in Germany, and that that was basically the start of this, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Jack, when he first heard the sort of the beat and the chord progressions, he said, well, I'll let you say what it is, Jack. I can't remember exactly the correct cities you said.
It started with Munich.
No, I got it wrong initially.
Because I remember what you said, because while Tom was playing these chords, Jack was kind of doing this kind of like DJ, like announcer voice.
In a German accent.
And you were saying like, oh, welcome to Munich. And you were saying that. And then you said another one. And then what was the city you dropped in? You were like, oh, come on into Eindhoven.
Yeah.
that's not in Germany, but who cares? Come in.
Yeah. Welcome to Eindhoven. And I believe that came the catchphrase for a little while every time we start to play it.
Is that in the Techno Terry version on Forget and Ride On?
It is. So if you listen to that back, you'll hear that announcement in German. Yeah, I called up this guy in Germany. No, I didn't really. I just did some computer magic and got this phrase said in German, put it on this, what we call the Techno Terry remix of One Night in Munich, which is basically all the techno sounds from my keyboard and me with Neil's vocals from the studio recording done as a proper remix of the song.
So, Darren, when you first heard Tom's Yamaha keyboard drum track, what did you think? Did you think you could replicate that sound on your drums?
Yeah, pretty easy. So I remember at the time when we were doing Sparks in the Darks, I was quite heavily into Two Door Cinema Club. And for those who know Two Door, they got very, very programmed disco drum beats. And I quite like the sound of that. So I used to learn a lot from the drummer, Ben Thompson, who's their like live drummer. And it's stuff that I kind of thought, what would he do? And I watched a few videos of like just Two Door live, just trying to get bits of inspiration, because I definitely wanted to do some kind of hi-hat work or try and not copy Tom exactly, obviously give it my own little take. And yeah, so really when I kind of heard it, I thought, yeah, this is definitely right up my street. It was just perfect.
Tom, was this the first song of ours that you wrote all the lyrics for? I think it was, wasn't it?
I think my first foray into songwriting was Ride On, which we wrote like a couple months prior. But this felt like a change in the songwriting, in the where we were heading. And first song we wrote in this trilogy, and ended up being the middle track of the trilogy. Unbeknown at the time, we didn't know what was going to come before it or what was going to come after it. But the sound of the song and the way it made us feel, it instantly conjured up a more cinematic, in my eyes, more cinematic visual world, which I could write lyrics for quite easily and picture a scene. So as the story goes, this is the middle part of the story. It's all to do with this couple who was born, this girl that found each other in this club, and the song tells the story of their moment together in the club under the lights of disco.
Next song to follow from that was Tornadoes. Just a little number that we've come up with. This, You can be from any country in the world, and you can still know how to sing the chorus.
There's a nice little moment between myself and Jack where he was trying to teach me the lead guitar part, and I just could not get my head around either the timing or the rhythm of it, and I just couldn't play it. It's crazy simple, and for some reason my mind just wasn't having it. So everyone was trying to sing it to me, and I was trying to play it, and I think that's how that came about. It was like that back and forth of me trying to play it, getting it wrong, and you guys singing back to me going, it's really easy. It's blah 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 blah.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
so you're 100% right. That's how the well, obviously we talked a lot in the red light episode about how we were quite a fan of call and response, and so I just in my head just thought, well, we just carried on in this record with more call and response. I completely forgot that it actually came from us kind of repeating the tempo and the notes back to you to get it there, and then that's how it, our most prominent part of any of our songs probably came about.
Yeah, I think that was also, correct me if I'm wrong, done at Champions practice rooms. I believe that was possibly conceived in that room.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like sort of springtime 2012. I think that was coming about, or it wasn't an instant song. It took a bit longer for all the pieces of the song to come together. But that was the complete structure of the song, and then adding the lyrics. I think we had some verse lyrics initially, and then the chorus it took a bit longer to cement itself.
The chorus took forever
in the song.
For a long time, we had all of the rest of the song because you wrote all the verses, so we had all of the verses, and then when it got to the chorus, when we were playing it in rehearsals, we just like sang ooze over the top of it, which now is now the backing vocal on the track, but that was only just to fill the space until we'd written anything.
And I think again, this is a song that we've kind of, I think I did write a chorus which did have the word tornadoes in it, but ended up not working because we did try quite a lot of things before we did a settle on what we got to. And this is one of our songs again, which has got the title of the song does not appear in any of the lyrics, or it's not sung at all, which is like same with December and Illyria, which I thought is quite strange, because often some people going, what are you singing about? Why tornadoes? But to me, the song is all about it's the feeling of getting swept off your feet during the first moments of that romance, that love and lust. Whether it's on the dance floor, wherever it is, out and about in the street, you bump into someone. It's that rush of euphoria, that feeling, and we just want to try and capture that excitement in our music, and in obviously this trilogy story, which is Tornadoes, ended up being the first one telling the story, or where the story begins.
There's quite a few subtle German references in the lyrics and things, isn't there?
Yeah, so obviously we was like, we've already got a song called One Night in Munich, so let's continue that. What I was thinking, let's continue that in some of the lyrics in the next song we wrote. So there's a reference to, depending how good your film knowledge is and world cinema, 1987's Wings of Desire, directed by Wim Wenders. That was a direct reference, lyric in the song's direct reference to that. And also I was trying to rhyme some German words within the song. So we've got Autobahn rhyming with arm, just trying to do these little drops just to try and re-emphasize this story taking place in Germany, which to our sort of lead character, if you will, is an exotic location. And this is like his, dreams coming true on the continent. Controversial opinion.
Tornadoes is obviously, like I said, a bit of a live favourite. I think there's only been probably 2, maybe 3 gigs where we haven't played it live. But the recording on that EP, again, controversial opinion, I don't think it does it justice for when we play it live. To me, it sounds really, really different, like 2 separate songs.
Yeah, I think, like you say, Matt, I think partly it doesn't sound quite the same as we play it live. I never like to use time as an excuse in the studio, but we were limited to a certain amount of time and how much we could mix and master and really experiment with ideas and sounds a bit more. So we had, 5 days, as we said.
Think about all the different like iterations or different versions of it we've played live, I'll always remember our EP launch at the Pangs EP launch at the Winchester, where we played this, and we had this kind of, I think Tom had referenced an example by Springsteen where he played the first half of one of his big songs. I think it might have been Born to Run or something, played it acoustic, and then came back in with the full band version afterwards. And we had the ambition to do the same thing at the EP launch. So we played the first verse very, very stripped back, and it was just Jack on the guitar, might have been Tom playing the bass and me singing, and then we brought it back in and played the whole song again straight away. So we transitioned into it, but we've done it in so many different ways. We've let because it's quite often been the end of the set, we've let that ending go on much more extended and got the crowd involved with the Ballad Bars. It's really one that's definitely had a journey with us.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like the single that never was, really, in some ways, because there wasn't a video for it as such.
So you can listen to it and it tells the story, and you can picture it in your own mind and be swept up in its message. And also it's kind of, it's inescapable. Once you get that ba-da-da-ba-ba in your head, you are there, and we are kind of grateful for its live life, because it just gets everyone going, it just gets everyone happy, dancing, singing. It just makes friends with everybody straight away.
Tonight she sways alone on the other side of the floor. Just wanna for my own. Stop, look some more. Hunger under flashing lights. Her eyes scream so loud. Got her in my sights. My heart beats for you. When you go, don't leave me breathless. It's our chance to be connected till the end of time. When I steal you with 1,000 lines, I know all of this could be for us. So come with me, we'll make it just this life is for the taking. 1,000 lines.
And the last song on the EP that we recorded was Sunrise. The complete opposite, I would say, to Tornadoes, as in it's live life. Very rarely do we play it live. That's partly down to me not remembering the intricate parts that I came up with. But it's very different from everything we've done. Like you say, it's very slow. It's very intricate in places. It's very. It does feel like a sunrise. It's very, it starts off slowly, then it sort of builds towards the end, and you got this big bursting outro. And if I remember rightly, we recorded the intro part live, all of us playing live, and then recorded, the verses and the chorus like separately, like we do normally. And that was quite a scary experience. Like looking at everyone, think, right, we've got to nail this. This is like a Thursday afternoon. We've got Friday to mix all the songs, and but I think we just about pulled it off.
Yeah, one of the most intricate songs, and it came together really quickly.
Just touching back on that recording process, I mean, it was pretty tense at times in a recording studio to get to nail that, because like we said, we were very aware of the clock on the wall, and we had a lot of time. We had to we stayed there late in the studio, but we had to get it right, and there was pressure definitely to make it work. And we kind of recorded that. You said that first half was done by itself, and then we sort of bolted it together with the second half, or the sort of where the song proper kind of starts after the intro. And again, that was something we had never done in the studio before. And it comes together seamlessly in the final song. I think those sort of two intro section and the proper part of the song.
Does anybody remember how it came about, the song? Was it a jam? Or
No, I don't remember.
I think I've got a feeling when we started to try to write it initially, it had more of a tempo, and we were trying to like still continue that kind of energy off the back of Tornadoes and One Night in Munich. We're like, let's keep that going. But I can't remember where the decision came from, but we decided to slow it right down because it was something, again, we hadn't really done before.
I think I remember. We were working on it, and the idea came about. Whatever kind of dance or like pop tracks that were out at the time in the charts, the one of them that was kind of really prominently featured, or number one, had a build up to the first chorus, and then as it got to the chorus, it dropped, and it took a lot of the kind of the drive out of it. And we wanted to replicate something like that. So initially we were intending for it to be a faster song, and the first chorus almost to be like a fake out. But in the end, it sounded so nice, so stripped back and so chilled that we decided to actually just take that concept and put it over the whole song.
Yeah, I think that song, I might be just making this up, but it sounds like, to me, it might have been Drake and Rihanna. The song of theirs called Take Care, where it does exactly that.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. Unexpected as well. You know, off that chorus, you're expecting it to go bigger, higher, something, but it becomes something more like fragile and tender. And especially summing up the kind of, let's say, the story. The couple have then left the club and they're wandering the streets in this hazy kind of moment before the sun rises.
Magic hour.
Magic hour. One of my favourite things in the world, which I seem to be obsessed with. But yeah, no, it's trying to capture that feeling of, you know, waking up to a new world, a new feeling. Everything seems different. Now you've been through this night together with someone that you know, something so unexpectedly wonderful has happened to you.
Darren, how did you find play the drums on this one? Very intricately.
Yeah, so playing a bit slow, it's trickier than you think, because your muscle memory is kind of used to just, well, for me, I'm more comfortable playing quick. But when you come and play slower, I don't know, it just doesn't quite feel the same, and I'm not as much at ease. I've got to like basically think a bit more. I'm not sure how many takes I did of it, to be honest, but I remember there was a few bits where, because it's a slower song, I think my hands were quicker than my feet were at some point. So I sort of do, it's called flamming, so where you'd hit your bass drum and then the snare hit would just come like a fraction later, so it's not like they're not together. I remember the sound engineer sort of having a pop at me a few times for that.
Was it
I think it was right. Towards the end was tricky, trying to get those, because I'm hitting the bass drum and the snare and the cymbals all at the same time. That outro part where it's just, that was hard to try and listen to the metronome, making sure everything's hitting the same time. So yeah, it was the more the pressurizing song.
This might be a bold statement, but I honestly think Sunrise is one of the best songs we've ever written. I don't know if you guys feel the same or what you think about that.
I really like it. It was challenging. I think that it pushed us to write more intricate stuff and think more about the process and the creative process, and playing off each other a bit more. Me and Jack both play quite intricate guitar parts and some of it, and we work off each other really well, more so than what we have done in other songs, particularly on that EP. So I think it pushed us and challenged us
massively.
One of the things I think about is because, and it probably skews my opinion of it, I don't know if you guys feel the same, but because we're such a live, like gig-focused band, songs that don't work as well live fall down my pecking order in terms of like my like kind of ranking of them. But you're absolutely right. Like we talked about Killing Time in a previous episode as well. Like some of these songs, like some of these other songs that we've written are really intricate or really doing some completely different things, but they're not necessarily live songs, so they don't get the attention or the kind of praise that they sometimes deserve.
Yeah, I think I'm so grateful we got a recording of it, because it feels like such a unique song in our catalogue. I'm just so glad we managed to capture that on record, because it just sort of feels like it's a moment that we will not get back to. It was of the time.
And the outro, I believe, is the first time we've ever done a 5-part harmony. Would you call it a harmony, or would you call it all of us
Shouting.
Oh well, 4 of us shouting and Neil sort of leading the way with the what note we should be hitting.
Yeah, making it sound better. Yeah.
And
That's the only time as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I remember once because we all got around the microphone and we all sort of sung into it, and then hearing it back against the drums and hearing it against like all the other instruments was like I thought that was something we hadn't done before, something like that, and I thought it was real powerful and it was mixed really well into the final mix, and that's a part of it I'm really proud of.
I remember doing the outro and just adding more and more layers of guitar and asking for more distortion, more fuzz, just more gritty, more heavier stuff. And even if it was really subtle, I wanted more guitar layers and just added more in that outro to make it sound really huge and really thick and fuzzy, but still keeping the clarity there as well as all this fuzziness and the loudness. It needed to be clear and loud and fuzzy at the same time. I think it came across really well, I think.
You could say you want it to be fuzzy or hazy, like a sunrise. You could stretch to that. We could try and stretch that. Just go back to another reason we call it Sunrise. Just it's like another reference to weirdly was going back to German cinema again. There's a classic silent German cinema film called Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans, which tells a romantic story of these two lovers going to the city. So that was like another reference to this German connection, which we'd established, I said, throughout the rest of the songs on the trilogy, and which then led into the artwork. There was quite a bit of thinking which went behind it, and we did have a few different variations of things which we looked at, 3 different options which maybe we can share on social media, some of those different things which may have been once upon a time. But like this German sort of expressionism, German cinema references. I've got a background in film, by the way, in case you're wondering why I keep banging on about German cinema. So these things they're just always in my head. So there's the building. If you look at the artwork, the style of the buildings and the background is very reminiscent to another silent German cinema film called Metropolis. So these are these little cues that we kept on dropping in throughout the thing to establish the kind of location and the setting of these two lovers who are, finding each other in the city in this center of this romance. And that was the idea behind the artwork, and having the lovers kind of on the front cover of the artwork, having them as a neon sign, just outlines. Again, is a nice little nod to the location of where the story was taking place.
No, I think you did really well on the style of it all, like the colours. I think it stands out,
and obviously the name of the EP is quite obviously references or talks about the spark of romance in a dark environment, or that's how I always interpret it. I don't like sometimes explaining away things, because sometimes it's nice to have a bit of mystery, but I think that's quite obvious where that title comes from.
And it rhymes.
Which is always good.
It's fair to say that we've got all these songs now. We've got a bunch of new songs, and it gets to about April 2012, and then we we play a gig at Guess Dublin Castle. We got approached.
Yeah, it was just kind of one of those things that happens, and if any of those listeners out there are also in bands, this kind of thing does happen quite a lot, like almost like getting an email from a Nigerian prince. Like, you get approached by people after the show coming up to you and going, I arrange lots of gigs in this foreign country, I can make you famous, kind of thing.
Have you had that a lot, Matt? A lot of foreign princes come up to you?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Twice this morning, actually.
2 meters apart, though. 2 meters.
Yeah. So yeah, these two Croatian people, Milvana and Drazen, came up to us after the set and shook my hand and said that was really good and were very complimentary about the show. And they promised to book us shows in Croatia. They said they hadn't done it for a while, but it's something that they wanted to get back into and thought that we'd go across really well in Croatia. And I can remember feeling a little bit skeptical, like, yeah, okay, fair enough. But, we tried to be as polite and as accommodating as I possibly could and give them the benefit of the doubt and took their phone number and spoke to him for quite a while afterwards. And, kept on talking and it all sort of panned out that they kept to their word. And we met with them a few times afterwards down in Bournemouth. They came all the way down. I think that was a big thing for us. Like, they came all the way down from London to Bournemouth to meet us. So that was kind of when it hit home for us. Like, they were really serious and they were really into us, and they were willing to make this happen to get us over to Croatia.
But it wasn't just Croatia, was it? It was offered something else to us as well.
Before Croatia was even on the cards, they wanted us to record. So they put in a few phone calls and emails around in London for these studios for us to go and record at. And then I remember one day we got a message saying the Premises studio in Hackney, we've been able to book for 5 days in there in July, and wanted to know if we're all free, if we can go and record. And I think we sort of all jumped at it,
didn't we?
Went, yes, okay. And to be fair, they were stumping up all the costs. It was something that we would have to eventually reimburse them with. But yeah, like Matt said, they were true to their word. They come down to Bournemouth and they're real serious about taking us to Croatia and us to record. And then we get an email confirmation from the studio saying, yeah, we all booked in and we've all taken holiday. Yeah,
it was nuts, wasn't it? It was so surreal.
Yeah.
Like, especially obviously we talked at length in the previous episode about Red Light and the recording experiences, and there was absolutely nothing wrong with those experiences. And we learned a lot, and we got the Red Light out of it, so we were really happy with it. But like, to go from a local studio and us kind of our first experience recording to all of a sudden when our next EP is being recorded at the Premises in Hackney with the Penthouse studio with a top engineer, like, it was nuts. It was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, we were thinking there's got to be something. It seems too good to be true. I were like just thinking, hang on a minute, but it was all just good. I mean, everything. They put us up in like an Airbnb thing for a week as well, like for the whole time. And they were Milovana was coming down with sandwiches to the studio and was like, come around my house for pizza and stuff like afterwards. And it was just like, these guys are just so generous. It's just so nice. They love our music.
Can you remember the accommodation we stayed in?
Oh my goodness.
We were all in one room.
Oh,
and
it was like a townhouse. It was like a flat, wasn't it? A flat, a flat with one bedroom, and it had like bunk beds.
It was a handmade bunk bed.
Yeah.
The top bunk was a double bed.
And then, but there wasn't enough room, so like two people had to sleep on the top bunk bed, one on the bottom, and then someone on the floor. And we like rotated who slept where, because there was I don't think there was any preferable arrangements. But that kept us grounded, didn't it?
That was a sweaty mess, that room.
I think like the top bunk was like something like a foot and a half away from the ceiling, so it was like a real sort of military maneuver to get in there at night if you had the you're up there for that night. It was especially if you'd been out, or let's say during the day drinking, which did happen quite frequently in the studio, and like trying to get, because it was walking distance from where the studio was, so it was like about 20-minute walk or something. And we'd never been to Hackney before, but somehow we managed to navigate to and from there every day. Got back to accommodation.
I remember we come in quite pissed one night. I think it was the last day of recording, and we'd gone out with Milovana, and we've gone back to the flat. And I think the night before we'd had pizza, and it was like, I just remember the pizza boxes everywhere. And we were like trying to be quiet and not laugh whilst trying to like microwave all this like old pizza.
I remember that.
Oh, yeah.
And it was so funny.
One of my memories of the accommodation was, I'm pretty sure it was the first night I was wearing contact lenses, and still do. But I left my pot of contact lenses in the bathroom. I was, left them soaking in the fluid overnight, and went to put them back in the morning, and they'd gone. So I didn't have any contact lenses, and asked the host, and she thought that it was rubbish, so she just threw them out. So I had to try and find the nearest Specsavers opticians. I just couldn't see, so I had to go out and find this nearest Specsavers and go and get some more contact lenses. So I think I was a bit late to the second day of recording, which obviously went down really well. But yeah, so I had to go across London without any vision whatsoever.
So we recorded on the Monday, I believe, but on the Saturday night we had a gig. Guess where?
Dublin Castle.
Dublin Castle again.
That's right. This is Forest Beyond the Track, sponsored by Hope and Anger.
So we had a gig up there, and we actually stayed up, didn't we? That the Saturday night after the gig. Like, anybody who's not been to Dublin Castle, after the band's played, it then becomes like an indie disco. And as we're packing up, they're banging out like New Order and some real sort of classic 80s indie disco stuff. And so this time we thought, right, we'll stay up there and we'll go across town the next morning to our accommodation. So we booked a hostel in Camden. It was a 6-bedroom hostel. Unfortunately, I had to share a room with one Spanish girl who, we met her. We were very polite, saying, "Oh yeah, we're in a band."
We invited her to the gig.
We were, very nice, and she said she might come along. Anyway, so we've gone to the gig, come back from the gig, put the stuff into storage, then go back to the pub, and we partied there. And
it was very rare that all of us got to like party, because usually at least 2 or 3 of us had to drive. So
yeah,
if we did kind of have a couple of drinks, it was kind of broken, and it wasn't all 5 of us together. So it was very rare that we got to kind of let loose like that.
And did we let loose? Jesus Christ. And I think there was a funny photo of Tom and Darren. I think
they're on the Boris bikes.
The Boris bikes had just come out, I think, and Tom sat on the handlebars and Darren's tending he's cycling, and Tom looks a bit like E.T. with a shirt over his head.
Yeah.
Didn't you break your toe or something, Neil?
I did, yeah. We were
on the way back.
On the night out, we were walking back, and it was a pavement slab that was kind of raised, and I didn't see it. And I walked straight into it, and I broke my second to biggest toe, and it was purple. The whole toe was completely purple, and I'd literally spend the whole week in the studio just hobbling around.
You need to hit those high notes, Neil. Just like squish your toe a little bit.
Yeah, it was so painful.
And on the way home, we decided to stop off at Ken's Chicken.
This could be a bonus section.
This is definitely a bonus section.
Yeah.
And we got back to the hostel, and when you're just trying to be as quiet as possible,
but everything is hilarious.
So this poor girl, she didn't come to the gig.
She's asleep. When we rock up into the hostel with our Ken's Chicken at 4:30 in the morning?
Oh, yeah, easily.
And we're lying in these beds, giggling.
Like schoolgirls.
Yeah. It's kind of like when the teacher's telling you off at school and you see all your mates behind you laughing. You're just like don't laugh. Like, you just want to laugh because they're having a go and all your mates are...
It went on for ages, and then this poor girl, she'd obviously had enough, and just in the dark, in the darkness of the room, we just heard this poor Spanish girl go, "I get it. It's funny." And that set us off even more. So
Fingers in the mouth.
Yeah, not only were we giggling, it was kind of giggling mixed with telling each other to shush.
But yeah, when you're trying to tell everyone to shush when you're drunk and you're trying to whisper, it comes out even louder than it would do normally. It's like, guys, gotta be quiet. Trying to be as quiet as possible.
By the time we woke up in the morning, she was long gone. She must have left at 6 in the morning to get away from us.
Yeah, I think I got up about 6:30 to go to the bathroom, and I gone, oh, she's gone, guys. The bag's gone. The bed's been made. She's out of there. But anyway, that was funny. Then the next morning, we shook off our hangovers and went to our accommodation in Hackney, and then we started to record.
We were all very professional about it all.
Definitely. But just to sort of mention the premises, anybody who doesn't know the premises, I mean, we certainly weren't massively glued up on it, but there have been some quite famous names that are recorded in there. And Jason, who we recorded with, his claim to fame is that he did the engineering on Faithless, Insomnia. So we were in pretty good hands. You know, he certainly knew his thing, and he worked on the debut album of Florence and the Machine, and he sort of was telling us how her vocals are so powerful that she had to stand to the back of the vocal booth to record those vocals. And so, yeah, I mean, we looked through all the names that had been there. You know, Tom Jones, Lana Del Rey had recorded in there. And I think while we were there, wasn't Will Young down the corridor? Or...
He was, yeah. There was a rehearsal room, wasn't there? And he was in there.
So I heard him when I took a toilet break. So one of you was recording. I was on the toilet and I just heard this voice, and I was like, Will Young. I come out of the corridor.
And it was Gareth Gates.
Yeah. And I asked someone, I was like, who's in there? He's like, oh, it was Will Young. I was like, fair enough. Weirdest toilet break I've ever took. Like Will Young next door just rehearsing. And it sunk in for me when I realised what kind of place we're in when I saw Carl from the Libertines, and I was having I think I was having a bacon and cheese toasty, and sitting across, he was there with his cigarette and his full English breakfast. I was like, that's Carl from the Libertines just casually sitting there.
Yeah.
That blew my mind. I went upstairs, was like, wow. And then I think about a month after we left, the Arctic Monkeys were booked in for their rehearsal for their gig at the Olympics in 2012. And obviously being a big Arctic Monkeys fan, that really impressed me.
I thought you got Will Young's autograph, Darren. I swear you went and got it for your mum or something, didn't you?
I got it for my ex's mum. Yeah, points.
Did you actually meet him then?
No, so I had to get one of the staff members to get an autograph. So I was like, look, my at the time my girlfriend's mum wants an autograph of Will Young. Can you get that? Like, yeah, that's fine. No worries, leave it with us. Like, yeah, I've got an autograph for you. I was like, thanks. So it's like delivery service of autographs.
He probably just signed it himself. He goes, I ain't got time to bloody,
disturb Will Young.
Yeah.
He's still going. He's DJing on Radio 2 occasionally. It's actually very good. I had another week. I must say that cafe was absolutely banging at the premises.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people were just going in there, nothing to do with music. They just turn up and have a breakfast, every morning. And we went down there many times and had something. It was like so convenient. If you wanted to get some like good quality food. What I remember, it was run by a Turkish lady, and she had pictures all over the wall of all the people that recorded there. It was like that's one of those restaurants you see in the States where it's like, all these celebrities have turned up and done something there. It was wicked.
Yeah. Can you remember? Obviously, there was a lot of downtime in between tracks and takes and whatnot. And I think Jason had gone for lunch one day. Can you remember what we found?
I went
in
with
the corner.
You guys
every day
stayed up there. No, that one day I went. You guys just stayed up there. Just me. I went with him, and I didn't even eat anything. I just sat there and watched him like demolish this like extra large full English and a double espresso. Right. And I was thinking he needs a double espresso to get through the afternoon with us. I was thinking he needs to stay alert. It was really. Well, you guys were upstairs, rifling through his. So
there was a box in the corner, and there was a hard drive in it, and it was labelled Spector. And obviously, we're big fans of Spector, band from London.
Tom's wearing a Spector t-shirt as we speak.
He is. And we were like, I don't think their album had been released yet. And from what I remember, they did a couple of tracks in different studios. And I think they recorded No Adventure at the Premises, one of their songs. And we had the song in our hands before it was even released. We were thinking, this could be worth something. Then we thought it could be worth absolutely nothing. Could be nothing on it.
What I remember, it was just casually in like a box, like just almost discarded. It was like not like sort of filed away anywhere, just in the corner, just sort of with a masking tape label on it. And it was like, all right, this is what is going to happen to us in the future. Our pride of we working on for months is just going to be sat in the corner of a room with this. Who cares who's looking at it or could steal it?
In the future, that's what he was doing at the end of each day in the studio with us, just chucking it in the corner.
Yeah.
Don't go fucking hell. I got to do this again tomorrow. Get me that double espresso.
Well, I remember there was a certain drink, a couple of drinks of choice when we were in the studio with Jason. One for him and a few of us, and I know Neil and Darren were particularly fond of a fruit drink. Do you guys remember what that was?
Yeah, we used to love the Rubicons, didn't we?
Oh,
Rubicon mango.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Full carton of it. Lovely.
Because I get so paranoid when it comes to recording weeks that my voice is going to go, or that I'm not going to be at 100%. So it's going to be a waste of money, and I'm going to ruin the experience. So when it comes to those kind of times, I don't really kind of drink much alcohol or kind of take many chances. And so I just had this obsession that just like a fruit drink, that's gonna be fine. That's gonna keep any illness at bay. Just pump me full of any vitamins and I'll be fine. And then I got Darren kind of roped into it as well.
But for the rest of us,
Red Stripe.
Red Stripe.
Do you like a Red Stripe?
Red Stripe. I remember Jason was flagging sort of one afternoon, and we'd sort of cottoned onto the fact that he did enjoy a drink. And obviously, it was, for us, it was almost like a bit of like a holiday up there as well, recording. It was like, as good as it gets. We're making our own music in this great studio in London. So have a great time while we're doing it. But yeah, Jason, he was sort of like, I remember him saying like, I work with hundreds of artists a year. This is just like another paid job for me, which is fair enough. But we had to try and get him on our wavelength and in our sort of world. And we, not that we do that through alcohol, but we did enjoy a drink with him. And we used to go and buy like a 4-pack or a 6-pack of Red Stripe, bring it back up to the studio and sort of go, oh, Jason, do you fancy a can? And it was just like, 2-3 in the morning, in the afternoon. He'd be like, yeah, great. And then he got like a little buzz off it, and he'd be like going.
It was amazing to see him work, and he knows his way around his tools. It's great to see him do his thing.
Good. Yeah, he gave us all this studio magic, like more than we had ever envisaged, for the songs. He just brought so much experience and so many more ideas, and help us sort of. I think we were trying to go for this, recreate this more like anthemic stadium sound, this big sound we were trying to recreate or create, I should say, in the studio of our sort of own unique take on it. And he helped us in the time we had with him, to achieve that, I think.
Can you remember who we bumped into on the way we were out one night?
Well, the guy from the bill.
Oh, we did see him.
Yeah,
we did actually see him. Oh, what was his name?
Yeah. Jim something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
he always had like brown leather coat on or something.
Jim from the bill. Yeah, all right.
Yeah,
he was getting some smokes from a convenience store, wasn't he?
Yeah, and a 4-pack, Red Stripe, obviously. We bumped into Fred McPherson from Spector, the singer from Spector. We sort of we were walking towards him, didn't really realise it was him. Then when he got alongside us, we were like, oh, it's him. But he seemed pretty hasty and get the fuck out of there. I think somebody turned around and went, Fred, lad, and he just went, boom.
I mean, it was dark, and it was like middle of the week, probably like 10 o'clock, and he's probably thinking, I don't want to stop. Who could be anybody who wants to speak to me? Let's just carry on. He had his headphones in, I think, as well, to be fair.
Any other stories from...
What about the rap party? What about, how did we celebrate finishing? After we recorded, Friday night, 5 days had passed, we got our 4 tracks done. We were like, thanks very much, Jason, did a great job.
Darren stole a camera and put it on his trousers.
I don't remember that.
Did I?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what we did, guys?
Got drunk.
Brick Lane.
We did.
Brick Lane, oh yeah.
Shoreditch, wasn't it? Way?
Yeah.
I remember Matt and I went and got some really like spicy jerk chicken at this like.
There was like a truck, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we were walking home. Me and Tom got split up from you guys, so we to get to where we
Completely
live
different
in.
routes.
Yeah, to get where we're going, you had to follow Hackney Canal, I think. So we were waiting by the canal for you guys, and you reprobates turned up singing and shouting your heads off.
Well, everyone was a bit merry, weren't they? Everyone had a few
bit.
shandies.
Too many mango Rubicons.
It gets to you after a while, I tell you.
I think my favourite memory of that night was myself and Darren were walking along, and Darren was asking if I was drunk enough to hold his hand, and
I was with
said,
them at the time, so I can confirm this is how it went down.
So yeah, he said, are you drunk enough to hold my hand? And I was like, I'm not drunk enough to hold your hand, but I am drunk enough to steal this apple. As we were walking past this convenience store with fruit and veg outside. So I picked up this apple and just carried on walking, thinking nothing of it in my drunken haze and thinking I was some sort of god or something. Yeah, badass. And then the next thing I know, like a few seconds later, someone had hold of the back of my shirt, the back of my hoodie, and I was being dragged by literally by the scuff of my neck.
By the shop owner.
Yeah, by the shop owner that I stole this apple from.
And these two are shouting it. This guy is screaming at Matt, screaming at him, and you were perplexed.
Yeah, I didn't really know what was going on. I didn't know what all the fuss was about. It's just like an apple. Like, it's just how we West Country boys roll, you know. It's an apple here, an apple there. They sometimes refer to me as the West Country Aladdin. No one's said that about me ever. I wish they did though.
This guy kept shouting at Matt that you stole my apple, you steal my apple, you stole my apple.
What was Darren's response to that?
Yeah, Darren, my absolute hero, and saved the day and stepped in and all of his macho bravo and said, Darren?
Yes. Well, I'm not very proud of what he said, but I'm really sorry for the owner. But I said, yeah, but I'll steal your wife.
You steal his wife?
Or wives, I don't know.
The thing was, it was so out of the blue and so uncalled for that everybody was so confused, and it diffused the whole situation. In a second, the guy let go of Matt, everybody looked confused, Matt put the apple down, and everybody just walked away and nobody said a word.
Me and Matt were holding hands and we went on our merry way. End of story.
Yep.
And me and Tom were pissing in the canal.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So next week's episode.
Yeah.
Us swimming in the canal.
Jack steals a banana.
Jack hides a banana. Okay, so we got another question, and I can guarantee this. My answer is correct this time.
Factually correct.
Factually correct. I have cross-checked it 4 times.
Good.
So we recorded July 2012, from July the 2nd to the 6th. Can anybody tell me what was number 1 at the time?
Oh my word.
If you do get it right, I will buy you a 4-pack of your choice. So if you want mango, Rubicon mango, you can have Rubicon mango. I'll get you a 4-pack.
I'm going to say David Guetta titanium.
Oh, good guess.
Oh, that's a good guess.
It's a very, very good guess, Darren, but it's not correct.
I've literally got no idea. I can't think of anything that came out in 2012.
It's after 2004, so I'm
Anything
wasted.
I guess.
Florence and the Machine.
What song?
You Got the Love? No, I don't know.
It's close, but not close enough. No.
Is it Will Young?
It is not Will Young. You're out, Matthew. Neil?
I have no idea. No, I've gone completely blank. I can't think of anything that came out anywhere near that era.
You have to give us a clue. I mean, surely.
I think she was a bit of a one-hit wonder. I can't remember. I don't know any other her
Was it
any
Kate
other
Nash?
song? No, I believe she's Canadian.
Oh, I was going to say that Duffy, but I think that's way earlier.
She
She's
she
Wales.
has 3 names. Like
3 names.
you know, she
Right.
uses her middle name. She uses her middle name as well.
I've got it. Carly Rae Jepsen.
Damn straight.
Call Me Maybe?
yeah.
Call Me Maybe. Carly Rae Jepsen.
Yes.
Number 1 as we were recording.
Yes, I would not have got that unless you give me a prompt.
Well, you didn't get it, so
Oh, so I don't get a 4-pack of
nobody gets a
Rubicon.
point. I've got a point now, basically, because you got it all wrong. So
So where
me,
are we at then?
Darren, and Matt have all got 1 point. Tom and Neil, come on. I'm gonna buy
Come
myself
on,
4
come
back
on.
now.
To do some refresh my 2012 pop chart knowledge.
Okay, so to wrap things up, we were spoiled in that studio, I think, and I think it was probably a little bit too much a big step up from what we did with Red Light and where we recorded it to going to like the capital of England and recording in one of the better studios. And I think we did very well with the time that we had up there.
I have a question. Do you think that experience changed our mentality towards the way we approached music and the way that we approached our songwriting going forward?
I think it changed me in a way of we're a small fish in a massive pond. You know, the way that they disrespected Jason, it was just like Tom said, we're just another job for him. Whereas for us, I think we were like, wow, this is it. We're up in London. We're in one of the best studios in town. And, you know, I think we sort of believed our own hype a little bit and thought, well, you know, this could really go somewhere. But for him, he was like, we're just another band. You know, he probably doesn't even know who we are now. And I think it opened my eyes up to just how tough it is to sort of make it anywhere in this business.
Favourite song on the EP? Neil?
Oh, Tornadoes all day.
Jack?
Can't get through because the production on it is amazing.
Tom?
It's a 50-50 split between the other two. One Night in Munich and Sunrise for me.
Got to pick one.
Mhm.
I'll go One Night in Munich then.
Darren?
I'm
Favourite
not just
song?
it's the only one left, but it is Sunrise. It's my favourite.
Oh, Matt.
Got the deciding vote then.
Sunrise for me as well.
Oh, wow.
So next week's episode, we going on to EP3, Pangs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So if there's any questions anybody wants to ask us, feel free to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and drop us a message. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. We have very much. And stay safe, stay gold,
Stay
and
clean.
always wipe. I don't know. Oh, Jesus.
Good one.
Good one.